everyone, this is Emily and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Woo! So today we are celebrating that I read 100 books this year. My dog is staring at me right now. I read 100 books this year. Technically I'm at 105. I'm reading my 105th right now. So I wanted to do a little 100 book video talking about my top 10 ranking out of 100. Let's do this. I'm gonna start with some honorable mentions because picking 10 books out of 100 is very, very difficult to do. I'm gonna start with an award for the gorgeousest book ever. It's my Fairy Loot special edition of Ruthless Vows. It's very gorgeous, Lily. We're gonna start with honorable mentions because I have to mention these ones at the very least. The rule is that I had to have read book 1 this year. Now most of these, I would say actually all of these I have, if there is a series attached, I have read all of them, or at least up until what's out right now. For my honorable mentions, I'd like to get the 2 ebooks on this list out of the way because I do a mix of ebook reading, audiobook reading, and physical book reading. So there's about 3 books on this list that I don't have physical copies of. So 2 of them made this list because I listened to the audiobooks for them. And the one is Dark Rise by C.S. Passat. I loved Dark Rise a lot. It was really good. More than the Captive Prince trilogy. But I feel like that might be like a... Anyway, the other one is A Strange and Stubborn Endurance. This one has a trigger warning list longer than any I have read before. It was quite a good book. That one's a duology. Dark Rise has 2 books out so far, and I've read both of them. Very good. Strange and Stubborn Endurance is a duology. Read both of them. Loved it. Now let's get to the actual honorable mentions that I have. Number 1 of the physical ones is Assistant to the Villain. This one was so good. I did read Apprentice to the Villain. I liked the first one a little bit better. This one was so good. I did get it last year. It's a Christmas present. But I only read it doesn't matter. Anyway, I read it this year. So good. So cute. Very light-hearted romance. Very comedy-centric. Lord knows I need it. The next one on the honorable mentions is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. Not a lot of people knew what Cassandra Clare's adult novel debut was gonna be like. Slapped. I'm so excited for book 2. I'm so excited for this universe to expand, and yeah, it was really good. I loved the world building. Delicious. Delicious. Our final honorable mention is The Sorcery of Thorns. This one, oh my god, I probably bought this book when it came out. I wish I had like a little, you know how some libraries or some like book owners have like those stamps that it's like from the library? Yeah, I want one of those. So this is a first edition. Came out in 2019? Oh, anyway, I read it this year. I read it this year for the first time. So good! I tried reading it when it first came out, like when I first got it. Just did not hit for me. Finally decided, you know what? It's been staring me in the face for 5 years. And I do also have the little mini additional book. I think it's a sequel. That's in this universe, but I haven't read it yet. Okay, now it's time for the bottom 5 of the top 10, which, okay, to be fair, if you're in the bottom 5 of the top 10 out of 100, that's still a really good place to be. These books, again, I wouldn't really put any of these in a particular order. I have a ranking, I would say, for the top 5. I don't necessarily know if I liked any of them more than the other. I think it was just a matter of like, these are in this category of my top 10. So I'm gonna start with the ebooks. I think there's only one. No, I lied, there's 2. There's 2. So we'll start with the 2 ebooks again. Number 1 was One Dark Window. And this one really surprised me because I read this one and Sanctuary of Shadows? So I read One Dark Window and Sanctuary of the Shadow around the same time. Like, I would even say I read Sanctuary of Shadow and then One Dark Window immediately after it. I loved the cover for Sanctuary of Shadow. I did not like the book. And that's okay. It wasn't for me. I'm sure other people liked it. But I read it on vacation and immediately was like, I need something good. So I was like, okay, One Dark Window seems interesting. Cannot screw this up. It was so good. I literally had like 2 or 3 other books lined up, immediately got the second one because, oh my god, One Dark Window, so good. Highly recommend it. It was a fantasy book that followed a dystopian formula, and it worked. It was really good. I don't even know if any of that made sense, but I really liked One Dark Window. Then we've got A Study in Drowning, and this book was so good. It was one of those ones that had been on my TBR for like a while before I picked it up, and it's considered one of like water fantasy. You know how some books have like just like water vibes? I would also say, I don't know if it's close by, Curious Tides. Curious Tides is also, I would consider a water fantasy book, and I would also consider the one I'm reading right now, A Dark and Drowning Tide, to be water fantasy. Very dark academia. And I just loved the main character and her love interest, and they were all really cutesy, and it was a great time. I loved that book. Hey guys, since filming this video about a week ago, I have acquired 2 more of the books on my top 10 list that I previously only had as audiobooks. The deluxe edition of A Study in Drowning, which is gorgeous, has to be seen by everybody. The Barnes & Noble exclusive hardcover of One Dark Window. It's also pretty stinking gorgeous, so. Okay, now time for the top 10, bottom 5 physical books that I have. Again, no particular order, just vibes. I can't believe more people aren't talking about this series! It's a duology, but I digress. This is my only exception to the rule because I technically have read this book before, but because I read it so long ago, I read it probably when it came out. Love this book. And the thing is that I have the second one, and I've had the second one since that one came out. Are you seeing a pattern? This was a year of reading books that I've had for forever and haven't read yet. It's about this girl who's down on her luck and just so happens to be discovered by a billionaire VR creator dude when she like hacks into the opening ceremonies for the VR game, and it's so good. And then I read Wildcard, the second one, and it just absolutely blew my mind. So then we've got What the River Knows. What does the river know? This one was so good. I love this book. I was really excited to read it. Put off the audiobook for forever, then found myself owning the book somehow. Don't know how that happened. I love Isabel Ibanez and Rebecca Ross, who wrote Divine Rivals, are friends, and this is one of those book friendships that I absolutely adore. And yeah, just great characters. It reminded me of Divine Rivals in how good it was. Just like it gave me kind of like the same feelings, because it's like there's like a story, but there is this romance, and the romance is so like chef's kiss. Wonderful. Very excited for the sequel. I don't think it's out yet. I'm pretty sure if it was out, I would have read it. This one is so special to me. The Fragile Threads of Power. Yes, I have the UK edition. Yes, I have the US edition. I do have both. This book was so good. I love the A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy, or the Shades of Magic trilogy. This one's signed by the author, and it follows the kind of cover pattern that the original trilogy does. I was so nervous about this book because I, again, love Shades of Magic trilogy so much, and I was just worried this wouldn't like live up to that. It did. So good. It didn't only expand on what we already know and love, like we got to see characters again, but there's also like a new direction that it's going in, and it just felt like very like equally. I was very happy reading that book. Okay, now we're coming to the top 5. I thought a lot about this order because I really loved all of these books pretty equally, I would say. The order is just makes sense. It just makes sense to me. Oh my gosh, should Interview with the Vampire have gotten a special mention? I read Interview with the Vampire and the Vampire Lestat for the first time this year. Another book that gets an honorable mention before we go into my top 5 is the UK edition of Immortal Longings. I'm pretty sure I read this book last year, but I cannot remember. I could check my Goodreads. I literally, when I went to Scotland this year, I literally was like, I need to get the UK, if nothing else, I need to get the UK edition of Immortal Longings, because this is literally one of the prettiest covers ever. Okay, top 5 time. In the number 5 spot, we've got The Blighted Stars. This one looks brand new because it is. I just bought it today for this video because I was like, it's kind of pathetic if I have a book in my top 5 and I don't own a copy of it. So I peer pressured myself into buying it. I read the ebook for this. Why aren't people talking about this book? If you ask me for a sci-fi book recommendation, but you're a romantasy girly, this is the book I'm recommending to you, because not only is it like a very interesting sci-fi plot, it's like the banter between the main characters is so refreshing and perfect. I love this book so much. Every book by Orbit Imprint that I've read, I love. Did I even like say what the plot was? This one's plot is awesome revolutionary girl goes undercover to her old boss's son's expedition to this planet to find rocks. And they fall in love and they have to fight zombies or rock zombies or something similar to that. Okay, next we've got, I'm looking at them and I'm redebating my order. Number 4 is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. Technically, this is the first book that I read this year. It was all downhill from there. No, this book was so good. I have Foxglove and Wisteria as well. Literally, so good. I was gonna say it gives Caraval vibes, except that it doesn't give Caraval vibes at all. But it's like, it gave me the same feeling reading Caraval, which is one of my favorite series of all time, that this book gave me that same feeling. This one is about a girl. This is about a girl, and she has to find this murderer, and instead of just like looking, she employs the help of Death, who's a hot guy. So good. Number 3, we've got The Jasad Heir. So as you guys know, my favorite book of last year was The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, which I own now. I did buy it this year. I didn't have it last year, and I felt really stupid for it because like it was my This was my favorite book of last year. It's The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. I love her. Yeah, so basically I was looking for, if you liked this book, what are other books that you would like? And The Jasad Heir came up on like every single list. It's about this girl who may or may not be the Jasad Heir. She ends up having to work with her, like, this guy to find rebels from her people. She is the heir to the people that he's hunting. This one was so good. Again, Orbit Imprint. That's my dream imprint, guys. If I were to ever get published, I want it to be Orbit Fantasy Imprint from Hachette. They're so good. We've got the hardest decision that I've ever had to make in my whole life. We're at the top 2. This has been really fun, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe your top 5 of the year, or how many books you read, or just anything. I want to hear from you. We come to number 2. This book did not come out this year. This book came out a while ago. Shannon, I don't know what you put in your books, but it's crack. It's The City of Brass. I have not had a series that was completed that I have gone to the bookstore as soon as I finished each book to buy the next one in so long. Mainly because I read a lot of books where the whole series isn't out. I digress. This book was phenomenal. This whole series, I literally own the entire series. As soon as I put one book down, to the bookstore, getting the next one. It's about this girl named Nari, and she gets wrapped up in this world of like Jinn people and their interfaction, like fighting, and then there's my video cut out, and it just took me about an hour to get it uploaded because it was very long. City of Brass, absolutely loved it. Could not recommend more. The entire series, really. I have all of them, as mentioned previously. They're so good. I've literally met one person who's read this whole series, and it's literally unputdownable. Every single character is so interesting, and the character who I didn't really like that much in the beginning, and I was kind of like, why are they here? Ended up becoming my favorite character of the whole series. So it definitely subverted my expectations. So I've read every single one of them, and I can tell you, does not miss. So the number 1 book, I'm very excited about this. I do have the UK edition because, again, when I went to Scotland, I wanted Immortal Longings for sure, but then I saw this one and I was like, oh, yeah, I need to own that. I was listening to the audiobook at the time, but I just absolutely fell in love with this book, and it's Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. And it's not just because her name is Emily. There are two Emily protagonists. There's Emily Wilde and there's Emily Winsnap, and I've never met another Emily main character. Comment if you know of any, because I would love to read them. This book absolutely boggled my mind, changed my life. It's about this professor of fairy folklore stuff. Her name's Emily Wilde, and she has decided to write an encyclopedia of fairies. So she's on her last like entry, and she goes to this town called Ravensvik, and chaos ensues as Professor Wendell Bambleby, her love interest, who's also a professor at the same university, follows her. And they're so cute, and I love them so much. I was reading this the same time that I was watching My Lady Jane, and just, I need to direct this movie, and I need Emily Bader and Edward Blumenauer to be Emily and Wendell, because they're so good. And it's such a beautiful visual novel that I just need it to be a movie stat. And also the author lives on the island, like she's from British Columbia. That's pretty sick. But yeah, love this. I really need to get the UK cover of the second one. I have read the second one, but this one and Immortal Longings. I think the second one is Vilest Thing. Delicious. Please read this book. It gave me the same happy feelings that like Caraval and Divine Rivals and those books all gave me, but like times 10, because her name's Emily and she studies fairies and she has a cute boyfriend named Wendell Bambleby. I dare you right now to say Wendell Bambleby out loud. I guarantee you cannot say that name without smiling, just like a little bit. Anyway, number 1. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening to me ramble about books, because as we all know, I love to do that. Again, please like, comment, subscribe, all those things. Thank you so much again for sticking around. I think I already said that.